Yeah, I'm Rashawn Hardy. We worked on A1, and this is Catherine Sullivan.
Hi.
We're both from BU. Two nurses that we worked with were Nancy and Jamie, sitting right there in the second row. You guys can just lift your hands up. There you go. And so we're just going to talk about our experiences and what we learned, what we gained out of this program in the 8 weeks. And Catherine's going to go first.
Okay. So our floor is a little bit unique because it's a post-surgical floor, and we have ortho patients, which then usually become rehab patients, neurology, urology, there's GYN patients. So it's a nice mix, which I think that we've really appreciated. Just a few things that we kind of discovered from working here is that with the rehab patients, just kind of the collaboration that goes into taking care of them. Every Monday they have meetings with the nurses, the MDs, PT, OT, social work, and with the family members of the patient, just to make sure that they have everything they need to go home, make sure they have somebody to get food for them, cook for them, if they need it, transport them to appointments and wherever they need to go. And just, so it's interesting to see how that team would work together, also to motivate the patient to make sure that they were doing their therapy and getting better. Another thing that we were surprised by was how little time doctors would spend with the patients versus how much time the nurses spent with them. So I think because of that, we've learned that it is really important that the doctors communicate well with the nurses, because usually, or sometimes patients won't tell the doctors what's wrong because they don't see them that often, but the nurses know all the ins and outs of the patient, and so sometimes it was disappointing to see how little the doctors would communicate with nurses. So Rashawn and I both will try very hard not to let that happen when we're doctors. And then also one thing that we were surprised at was how long or how time-consuming patient care can be sometimes when you have a patient who can't move themselves. So I think we really appreciated how much goes into patient care. Bathing somebody isn't always that easy, which we didn't really realize.
And all right, I'm going to explain some of the 3 things that I learned or stuff like that. I was kind of fortunate to go to a TCAB meeting with Jamie, one of the TCAB meetings that were going on during the time here. TCAB stands for Transforming Care at the Bedside. What I thought was most interesting about this was many times I thought the nurses were doing a really, really good job and everything seemed to be running pretty on point, but it seemed that they were still trying to perfect patient care. And so on A1, we did things such as team nursing, which you have 2 nurses working together, one doing meds and one doing patient care. And this was pretty efficient. And I think on 3 North, they were doing things like just monitoring how many times a patient was using the call button, just to see how they can decrease that. And I was pretty impressed because it just shows that we're always trying to work towards, perfecting it. Another thing was the communication between myself and Catherine at first. The first maybe 2 weeks that we were on the floor together, we didn't talk as much. We talked, but we didn't really communicate about if they needed help and things like that. And I think between me and her, we started to improve. If she needed any assistance, I could call on her. If I needed any assistance, I could call on her. And then slowly, I think it started to progress where we started to talk to the nurses more. Then we started to talk OT, PT. So that was pretty good because it gave you a good feeling knowing that somebody else was there if you needed them, and it alleviated a lot of the pressures. And all of this together really helped, I think, making the floor run better, and also made a lot of the people feel more comfortable. So it's kind of important to use that in the near future as docs. That way we don't lose sight of the most important thing, which is the patient. And like Catherine said, it was a post-op floor. So what was good was that we got to see from day 1 after the surgery to when they left, how the patient slowly started to become more independent, which was a good feeling because the first day we would go in and patient care, it would take us, let's say, 20 minutes. And by the time they were ready to leave, all we had to do was hand them a hot pack and a towel and they could take care of themselves. So I thought that was pretty good as well. And for the most part, like I said, we're just pretty grateful to be in this situation, and what we learned, we're going to hopefully pass on to our classmates just the same. That's basically it. So.
My name is Sheila Abdullah, and I work on AG, the place to be. I'm going to tell you a story. He lay on the bed, frail, at 81. Purple Heart hat, almost hiding his eyes, crying. I'm so scared, I'm so scared. Why are you scared? I don't know what's going to happen to me. They're just taking you down to X-ray. It'll be all right. I joined up when I was 16 to go to World War II. Lied about my age. Boy, was that a mistake. I was in Japan. I weighed 67 pounds when they let me out. That was before I met my wife, of course. That was before I met my wife. He spoke the words like a mantra of protection. I rubbed his neck. Boy, that feels nice, he said in the same worried voice. And I wondered about that mantra. The lifelong security of his wife, his friend, his partner. That relationship is what gave him his peace. Another man in different tears. I'm so sorry. I wet the bed. I don't know why I'm crying. I feel like the depression is back. I was in Korea, you know, and I saw more blood and guts than you can imagine, and it still haunts me. He told me about being a medic, about amazing, daring rescues of downed planes, and also stories of his present life. He maintains a home with his wife, and he makes hats, tongue-in-cheek, for veterans that say, "Dysfunctional veteran, leave me alone." But through the depression and the memories, he also wrote a jingle before he left the hospital called the West Roxbury Shuffle. Here's a sample. I like coffee, I like tea. I love the nurses that work on me. Blood pressure, temperature, they prep me for the doctors that work on me. Stethoscope here, stethoscope there. Are you here? Are you there? Here come the med students that make the beds. One here, one there. Do errands that we love. So you think you're sick? Do the West Roxbury Shuffle. Stories, listening. That's really what this summer has meant for me, even more than learning how to suction a trach or perform bedside care or flush an IV. So if I love listening to stories, why on earth am I becoming a doctor? This summer I really started to wonder about that because, like many of you have said, I realized how much time the physicians spend at the bedside and how much time they spend in the side room writing orders on the computer. And I wonder if I've made the right choice and if nursing would actually be a better choice. But I also see how busy the nurses are. If they have a patient load of 4 patients who are all bedridden, they can barely keep up with the meds and the orders and the changes and communication. And they also have to write endless notes in the computer. So what about the stories and the human beings who live and love and play and eat and endure suffering and all try to save the world in their own way? One resident I heard the other day said, "Eating can't take priority over medical care." And she pulled a man away from his supper and sent him off to X-ray. So what kind of system is this that we find ourselves in? Don't make a mistake, I've seen amazing care here and amazing physicians and nurses who really care and want to listen to patients. But the system itself makes that very difficult to take the time. My 81-year-old friend who survived the Japanese prison camp but still needed help to face the unknown of the X-ray room. How many of my colleagues actually had the chance to listen to his story? So I'm really grateful actually for our work here because we have more time with the patients. And what I've learned this summer and what I resolve to do and hope to do with the help of my friends to remind me in 3rd year and beyond is to actually take the time to listen to stories of patients. X-rays and deadlines be damned. And maybe if enough of us try to do things a different way, we can discover that we're taking care of human beings with stories that have a healing power of their own, often beyond what we can give them through medicine. Thanks for listening.
Maureen trying to figure out how to change this.
So anyways, put it into video form, this way we figure we don't actually have to do anything.
Well, you can tell a little bit how your experience went.
That's why we did the video.
I'd also like to thank the PCU for use of one of the rooms.
Yeah, this was proudly filmed at the studio in PCU. Where,
It didn't interfere with patient care in any way.
No, just patient information.
This will be your own.
no, I don't. Is there sound to this? It's got audio, yeah. I really hope it plays. Well, it works. Yeah. Wait, stop.